Magic Winxology.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Magic Winxology. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving. I'm absolutely grateful for every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this podcast. It means the world to me. Today we will get into our first 4Kids episode, Season 1, Episode 1, It Feels Like Magic. And although I did just cover the first entire episode last time, there are a whole bunch of differences that we will be discussing, and they are absolutely worth mentioning. In these 4Kids episodes, I hope to discuss not only the differences in lore, but the differences in censorship, in story, in plot, also just the differences in nostalgia, in the vibes, in the promos, in basically overall everything, like the media behind the scenes, the DVDs that I have, anything that I can give you to just show the differences that kind of just ran the ship that was 4Kids Winx Club versus Cinelume, right? English Winx Club. That's what I want to show you. And then later, Nickelodeon Winx Club. That's what I want to show. So, the 4Kids dub. Season 1, Episode 1, June 19th, 2004. It Feels Like Magic.
All right then. I'm going in.
This episode played out a little differently from the version that we just saw. With this, it was changed completely. It starts off differently. Everything about it is different. We've got the gardenia shot, the establishing shot of the city, and Bloom talks to her neighbor. Will do, Mr. Gennaro.
Will do, Mr. Gennaro. See you later.
But we start off in the park. We start off with Bloom already in the park. And at 44 seconds, we've got Stella, her debut. So it's actually kind of crazy, like, oh my gosh, already all this is happening.
That ghoul. Rising sunburst.
Now, I didn't track down every last voice clip, but I did notice right here, Kiko's little chirps and little voices are exactly the same between the dubs. So I wonder if you pay attention, Kiko might be exactly the same. They might have used the same exact Kiko voice. They may have.
Even though that is what you are.
That'll give you a chance to see something.
What? Did you see one of those scary squirrels again?
What's the matter, Kiko?
They're the same picture.
We've got Iconic Stella. Iconic Stella. Newsflash, Mr. Hideous, the power of Celeria is so gonna flatten you. The music is just amazing. It feels like everything has its own theme. I mean, the ghouls, Nut, Stella, Bloom, like the whole thing, Gardenia. Everything has its own theme.
Hurt.
That's what I love about 4Kids. Even at their very end of season 3, they still had their own theme. And that's what I really love about it. Like, they still had their own theme for everything. Their music team, just impeccable. Impeccable. Could not be pecked. Fun fact about Nut's 4Kid voice. He's the same voice as Braphilius in season 7. Now, there's only one English dub season 7, so there you go. The same voice. Same voice. It's awesome.
I don't like these frames. They're not me. Ooh, the last Jiggle in the Magic Dimension. You actually did it.
Mark Thompson, voice of Nut and Braphilius. Guess what? He was working with Duart, the dubbing company for season 7, voicing Braphilius. Some voices moved over to the company 3B to voice season 8. Braphilius was a seasonal character, so he did not stick around. But Mark Thompson was able to voice Nut again for season 8. So this character really went full circle, and it is just honestly Winx history right here. It's amazing.
Ooh, that's the box of fireworks, isn't it?
Now, Bloom's spells are swapped. She does the dragon one first, and then the other thing? That's actually crazy. But they fight. Stella's like, oh my gosh, you can see her personality. It's really, really crazy. She doesn't say, I'm the fairy of the sun and the moon. But she did say that in the 4Kids DVD promo. There was a 2004 or 5 DVD promo that came with some dolls.
Name,
Princess Stella,
place of origin,
the kingdom of Solaria,
source of power,
the sun and the moon.
catchphrase,
Style is like so, always in style.
They went and interviewed each of the Winx, and it was like power source, the sun and the moon. But I feel like that's the only time Stella has ever said her power source in the 4Kids dub. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure she has stuck to being kind of ominous and clearly depending on the sun. I mean, if you know season 2 early on, you know the caves, you know the sun. So like, that always gave me more and more evidence for her only being a sun fairy, you know what I mean? But hey, I'm not saying she can't be. I'm not saying it's not in her blood. It is, queen, daughter of the moon queen, I'm saying. Let us remember the theme song, which announces Stella's powers being the sun and the moon the entire series. That is worth mentioning. So speaking of this DVD promo, I thought I should share this pretty cool artwork from the Season 1, Volume 2 4Kids DVD pamphlet or insert that was inside the DVD. Basically what it is this little introduction to Stella, and it says a lot of the same things that are in the DVD promo, along with some extra things. It says her name, her place of origin, Solaria, her birthday, August 18th, her fairy sign, a mermaid, her likes, fashion, especially couture, her catchphrase, style is like so, always in style. Now what's interesting about this is the fact that in 4Kids, they have been known to have different birthdays. I think it might have been on their website or somewhere in their magazines or something. I believe Stella's 4Kids birthday was August 10th, while her original birthday was August 18th. This whole fairy sign, I'm not sure where that originated from, so that's interesting they put that in the 4Kids thing at all. There is like a 13 sign zodiac with Winx Club. It's crazy. It still is, pretty active. You can go on winxclub.com right now, I think, and check your horoscope. It's crazy. What's special about these artworks is that on one half would be a Trix and one half would be a Winx. The only unfortunate thing is that I've only ever seen 2. I've only ever seen this Stella one and another Flora one, and there's 6 Winx, which is unfortunate. So I wonder if there are more. There's 5 volumes for season 1, so you would think there would be 5 little pamphlets like that. But all my other pamphlets, if I even have one in the DVD, it's just like a little advertisement for other shows on 4Kids TV at the time. I'll definitely show more artworks and things when more characters are introduced. On the 2 artworks that exist, Flora is paired with Darcy and Stella is paired with Icy, so you would think if there were 5, maybe Bloom would be paired with Icy so that they could be introduced together. But if there are 5, who is introduced on the Trix side on the other remainder 2? Could Bloom and Icy be introduced as well as Icy and Stella introduced together? I don't know. So he's like, we'll meet again, Blondie. And she's like, ew, I can't say I'm looking forward to that. And then she faints.
We'll meet again, Princess Stella.
Ew, I can't say I'm looking forward to that. Oh no!
It's really, really funny. I love Stella so much. The way she literally says, she says it like me. Like, I feel like she literally says it all the time. Some famous quotes that I love. Stella's, being cool. She's holding the scepter. And then, at one point, Nut takes the scepter. And this is before she faints, by the way. It looks like one of Nut's ghouls took the scepter and then was trying to have, his own little ghoul personality. And then Nut grabs it from the ghoul I just love when they give personality to the littlest things. It gives me vibes of Obscurum. Like literally right there. Right there. Right there. Stella gets the scepter back, I think. And then Stella's like, you've got Winx, girl. Major Winx.
Wow, you've got Winx, girl. Major Winx.
What?
Stella's like, Winx? What do you mean? This is the first mention of Winx in the show at all. Is in the 4Kids version. Because in the 4Kids version, the word Winx means something different. In the original Cinelume, in Nickelodeon, in the Italian, it all means just the name of their club. In 4Kids, and it will be explained, it means their source of power, what guides you, and something else. But it's just kind of more the name of what fairy magic is.
Winx is essentially 3 things. First, it's your source of power, as in your strength and energy. And second, it's what guides you. Thirdly, it's like your magical identity.
And then from there, they call themselves the Winx Club. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 with the Winx word in 4Kids. And then Stella says, laugh all you want, fashion fiasco. I love that line so much. It really, I love it so much.
Laugh all you want, fashion fiasco.
But all this happens, Stella passes out, and then she goes home. She goes home. So of course, you know, she got her jeans torn, Bloom did, all that happened. But moving on, it seems as if a whole day passes. We go home and Bloom is sleeping. They take the scene from the beginning of the original show and put that back here. And then Stella's on the couch, but they call it the guest room because, you know, what do we know, the layout of their house? And, you know, Vanessa, Bloom's mom, is talking to Bloom, who's in her actual room. And Vanessa is like, fairies? You haven't read that book since you were little.
Fairies? Bloom hasn't read that book since she was little.
So there's a difference right there. You haven't read that book since you were little. Unfortunately, removing that does kind of take away that fantastical feeling. Like Bloom being, you know, a 16-year-old and, you know, reading a fairy tale book like it's her dream life, which it is. And, you know, as younger kids looking up to a 16-year-old role model figure, you know, maybe it's okay for them to learn and be like, hey, it's okay if I still, like, believe in magic, you know, even up until I'm, like, you know, 169. That's okay. Making it so Bloom hadn't read the book in so long was very strange. Yes, the whole tone of the story shifted in so many ways, but I feel like one of the ways that got the short end of the stick, so to speak, was this. Like, Bloom's fairy tale life had not even been a thing she had dreamed of all her life. It was like, you know, this whole thing just randomly happened to her. Like, obviously, there's a whole backstory up until season 1, but I just feel like the Ray English Cinelume version projects more of a inspiring, never give up, always believe type of tone, which I kind of like a lot more. And if I, from my perspective, at 21 years old, can give a message of importance to anyone, oh my gosh, 16 is insane. 16 is not even that old at all. It felt like the most oldest influential role model in the entire universe when I was like, you know, 5, looking up to a 16-year-old. But when I was 16, what was I doing? I don't know. I was going to the dentist, getting my braces checked out. I was going to Dunkin' Donuts, drinking iced coffee. You know, I was going to school. I was literally, I don't even know. I was getting my learner's permit. Like, 16 is so young. Okay, 18 is young. 21 is young. 30 is young. Like, for real. Like, for real. Media will really try to make you feel all of the feels, and it's really, really not that deep. You're never too old to start over. You're never too old to start something new. You're never too late to do what you want to do in life. You really are not. You really are not. There is no big grand race. Like, truly, really, really, really. There's a whole difference. Bloom is asleep the whole time Vanessa is talking to her. And they animate on, in one frame, Bloom having her pajama top on. where previously she was like trying to go back to sleep. Yeah, it's weird. So what scares Bloom out of bed is not this whole school summer vacation trick. It's Bloom's mom being like, so who's that girl in our house? Like, who's that random girl in the guest room?
So, who's the girl downstairs who is fast asleep? In the guest room?
So it wasn't a dream. She's Wanda's cousin.
They also decided to change the animation here and remove Vanessa from the scene where Bloom is scared awake because Vanessa decided to take her mental stability pills and not scare her daughter awake with useless fear. Thinking about it, this is actually pretty important that they removed Vanessa because there's nothing she could have said. Like, was she supposed to lean into her face and say, in the guest room? Like, that would have been very strange. Like, I think that removing her from this shot gave it a whole different tone. And, you know, her stepping back, it just gave it more of a normal tone. I feel like we can let Cinelume, Vanessa, look like a fool, look like a clown, by thinking it's okay to just pull a random April Fool's prank in the middle of June for no reason. Like, that's... let her be the clown. Let her be in her clownix era, okay?
In the guest room?
So it wasn't a dream.
And, she's like, she's, Wanda's cousin. Is that a Fairly Odd Parents reference? Could be. I think it was on since then. Fun fact, the voices of Wanda and Timmy's mom from Fairly Odd Parents, voiced by Suzanne Blakesley, are voiced by the same voice actress as the Nickelodeon dub voice of Griselda from Winx Club specials 1 through 4, season 3 through 6 of the Nick dub. Wow. It's impeccable voice acting. I mean, what can I say? So, yeah. We go down, and it's the kitchen scene. So, Mike, Bloom's dad, his newspaper is there. And 4Kids, they changed the random letters. Like, it was like something like B, K, P, D, F, Z, L, random letters. And they changed that to random scribbles. I guess, I don't know. It looks good. It looks fine, but I don't know. I don't know why they needed to change that. But it does look kind of more cleaner. Last episode, once we got to these dishes, I talked about... what's the word? The horrendousness? The lack of quality? You know, the quality lack thereof. And all that could ever possibly inhabit the lacking of quality in terms of the loudness of the dishes. So 4Kids saved us from that. And God bless.
Dad, I have lots of other stuff I have to do. Lots of important stuff.
Summer working in the shop. I wish I could go somewhere fun with my friends.
The thing is, yes, I know what dishes sound like. Yes, I know they can be loud once you're actually literally doing them. But when you're watching the TV, you don't really need the full effect. You don't really need that unless it's a comical, silly, goofy scene where your comic relief character is crashing and breaking all the dishes. Like, whoopsie daisy. Like, if it's background, pleasant ambience, it should be ambience. It shouldn't be torture. And then I love how Bloom has a little moment where the flashback of her as a baby is like, you remember when I was into fairies and stuff, Dad? He's like, yeah, you were so cute. And then they do a little reprise of, close your eyes and open your heart.
You were so cute. Always pretending to know magic.
Well, here's the thing.
On like a baby xylophone or something. Like, it just sounds appropriate. Again, impeccable soundtrack. Just perfect flow. So they're not even talking about the bike. They're not even talking about what they talked about in the previous episode. It's like all reordered and repurposed for different dialogue. It's so cool. So Bloom's like so excited. Previously, she was excited with the intention of these frames. She was excited for the bike that she thought would be a scooter. So Bloom's dad, in this case, is like, all right, I see. You just want to hang out with your friend. Go get the groceries and you're free for the rest of the day.
She wants to spend the day with her friend.
Okay, you get the groceries and you're free for the rest of the day.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
Well, speaking of presents, we've got a little surprise for you.
Yeah, just a little something to help you get around Gardenia.
Really? Thanks, Dad.
And she says, you guys are the best. Thanks, Dad. And then she runs out, and the whole bike scene is cut out, where the silhouette and the ungratefulness or whatever, that's all gone. That's all gone. Not even in the episode. Bloom wasn't ungrateful. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. And I feel like each dub definitely does a great job of incorporating little reprises, little ties into each thing, like little Althea themes, little themes for each character, and little mood altering themes and stings. Like there will be a sad version that sounds like the theme song, a happy version that sounds like the theme song, just for background music. Very mood appropriate, and I like that. And so she does have the whole Mitzi scene where we are introduced to Mitzi, but she's like, there's nothing wrong with this bike, my dad got it for me. Not any clue of when or where or how. Had you just watched this dub, you would have no idea that she just got it 30 seconds ago. And then, since Bloom had already done magic at this point in the 4Kids dub, she does a quote while she's zooming dude, to the park. She says, actually, she's just possibly going to get the groceries. I don't know. She wouldn't be going to the park. She went to the park yesterday. She says, if I do have powers, Kiko, remind me to turn her into a monkey. Which is just savage. It's just savage.
There's nothing wrong with this bike. My dad got it for me.
Oh, you poor girl. Of course, I don't mean poor as in not rich. Even though that is what you are.
Well, see you later, Mitzi. If I do have powers, Kiko, remind me to turn her into a monkey.
It's brand new, you know. Have a nice summer, Mitzi. See you at school. What a show-off.
And then we do go to this ominous Nut scene where Nut is in that ominous void with the 3 Tricks heads. I would say that 4Kids did this way better than Cineloom. I mean, the reverb on the Tricks, the accuracy of the correct voice actors.
Well, look who's failed us again. Explain yourself, Nut. Nut! How many times do we have to tell you? You are never to remove your glasses.
I don't like these frames. They're not me.
Nut! This girl needs help.
Nut! Come forward. An earthling girl? If only he'd wear his glasses, he'd be all right.
Oh, will you stop defending him?
An ogre with glasses looks kinda lame.
Quiet!
Only Icy spoke mostly, and then Darcy did like 1 line, maybe 2. Stormy didn't speak at all. Nikita didn't say anything. Why do I remember that from an old drama video? I swear, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Okay. But yeah, it was just so good. And I think they really worked well with the material they were given. But then again, he puts on the glasses and he's like, I don't like these frames. They're not me. So we go back, it's like 6 minutes in, and then we cut back to Bloom at home, and Stella is still asleep. So Bloom's dad, Mike, is like, so she's been asleep for 20 hours because she's a fairy? Is that like a goth or something?
Bring me back that scepter.
So she's been asleep for 20 hours because she's a fairy? Is that like a goth or something?
And also look at the weird decoration. Apples and a bowl of water. Always freaked me out. Like, I don't get that. I don't know. Are they bobbing for apples? I don't know. Or maybe that's a plate. I have no clue. But then Stella gets up. I think Vanessa said, we should contact your parents. And she's like, I'm afraid that's like so easier said than done. They live like in a kingdom that's like 6 whole realms away. And I also think that this is significant because it's like Stella has always needed a lot of sleep. We always see her sleeping a lot. And so this moment right here, straight up, we love seeing her sleep. From day 1, we've seen her sleep 20 hours.
Keep your eyes open. We may want to tell Stella that. What? Is breakfast ready? Oh no! Good morning, Stella. I am exhausted. I'm tired. Just a little post-lunch snooze, right? Stella?
I am so in the mood for nappy time.
I think one time I did sleep 20 hours. unintentionally. And it was not pleasant, but it happened. Mike doesn't believe her. She, turns the phone into the cabbage or iceberg lettuce and the carrot. She says, "You still think we're out of our gourds?" And then she says something about the 8-realm area. Bloom's ripped pants go on and off a little bit. We gotta give them some break. I mean, this was our first episode.
You should come to Althea with me. It's like so far and away the best magic school in the whole 8-realm area.
Hold it! My daughter's not going to another realm.
Stella shows Bloom the book, and she's like, "You're so much cooler than this. And more fashionable." And then Bloom's like, "What did you say I have? Winx?" Then Bloom is like having one of her first Bloom moments. She's like, "I don't know, Stella. I don't think I'm going back to Althea. I haven't felt any more powers." And Stella's like, "We'll try this. It's a simple matter merge exercise." And then she's like, "Try to put them back how they were." And then she's like, "You just need practice. It's actually no biggie." She's just like being the most supportive queen ever.
You just need some practice, Bloom. It's actually no biggie.
Bloom's talking about her powers and why and how. Stella's like, "It's just like my fairy godmother used to say. Sometimes you just need an ogre to attack you to see what you're really made of." They talk about magics. They talk about it again, and they're like, "Well, it's sort of in a parallel dimension." Again, don't think so. Don't agree. I think that, if anything's a parallel dimension, Faith the Winx Saga, that's a parallel dimension. That's the other worlds. That's all that. But this is not. You go to the inner realm of the enchanted ring, and then she shows her. So she takes out the postcard, the enchanted postcard, and she calls it an express portal.
Look, why don't you come with me and I'll show it to you. This is an express portal. Now follow me. Well, there it is, Bloom. The famous Althea Castle.
So what exactly goes on here?
So this bit is just very problematic and confusing from the beginning, from Right English. So I think what happened here was 4Kids tried to revise it and make it seem more magical, and they tried to make it more useful to the plot and not something that you would never see again and makes no sense. However, they weren't really able to do that because, of course, it was never going to be animated again, and also they kind of almost went too far and made it, almost worse in some ways. So basically, in the Cinelume Right English dub, basically, this was an enchanted postcard that basically was just a little virtual reality. I assume it's like you would go in there and it would just be like a little set, a little enchanted postcard. There might be a little bit of an area where you could walk around, and then you might hit some sort of invisible wall, and then that would be it. Or maybe the entire area was fleshed out. Who knows? But that would be it. It wouldn't actually be Althea. It would just be a postcard, a little replica of it. In the 4Kids dub, this is a transportal, an actual teleportation portal, like a Toontown warp hole that would actually teleport you to the location. The problems with this, 4Kids also mentions later in the episode that regular humans cannot go through this transportal, which does nicely wrap up why Vanessa and Mike cannot go through the transportal. Thus, Stella has to use the ring, and yada yada. But it's also useless because Stella never uses this transportal ever again. So, why would she ever bother to use it in the first place? Why would she ever bring it about in the first place? If she would always use her ring, she would always use her ring. This postcard is just kind of like a gimmick for gimmick's sake, So 4Kids trying to fix that was a good plot, overruling, kind of killed two birds with one stone, but then kind of doubled down on itself, further on if you really looked into it. It's also what happens? They just transport? Do they have to jump up into the sky and then grab this transportal? I just don't understand. There are so many random traces of teleportation magic in this show. I mean, this is episode 1. And we're already seeing 2 forms of teleportation magic. By the original fairies, the main cast in season 1, episode 1. So further on, they almost really overpower them with that power. And so they really had to dial back and be like, okay, how can we fix this? Because that's a big deal. You gotta put some distance between planets and locations and distance between plot. You can't really just connect everything, because that way nothing gets done. If everything's everywhere and everyone sees each other all the time, then nothing gets solved. Nothing happens. No plot really ever happens. What mystical powers am I learning to grow and develop into if I can just use a transportal to get wherever I want to? What's the point of evolving into Believix and using my Zoomix wings to teleport when I can just use my Celeria ring or my transportal? Like, there's really no desire because there's no need, because it's all given in season 1, episode 1. Do I prefer one over the other? I don't know. I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's too broke to begin with, you might as well just leave it out to pass away. You know, like, it was bad to begin with. 4 kids, don't even worry. You might as well cut that out the episode. So she shows Bloom Althea. Stella goes, don't worry, almost no one gets lost between dimensions. Yeah, I freaking hope not. And I love how this troll even has a theme. And Stella also kind of mentions all of what goes on in Magix, the tri-school area. Again, we have Althea, school for fairies. She says most of them are princesses like moi. However, of course, they also have another school for specialists and heroes. These are a series of characters that we see, the guys, and they just have weapons, typically not magic, but some of them do have magic. And that's at a school called Red Fountain. Then there's a school called Cloud Tower, and it's a school for witches, and they do a lot more dark magic. Not all of them are evil, but a good couple 3, the Tricks, Icy, Darcy, and Stormy, are evil. And they are known as the Tricks everywhere, except for the 4 kids dub. So strange. They are only known as the witches. The witches. Which ones? I guess you just gotta assume it's the main character villain, witches. So when we are shown the clips of the specialists, we are shown an unused scene from Magical Bloom. It's where the specialists are raising their swords or lowering them. And it's just crazy. Like, I wonder where they got these scenes from. Like, and they just thought to use them. Like, I don't know. It's pretty cool. But as all this is happening, I can't believe that even in this dub, they were against Kiko. Like, how? I don't get it. How? I thought that for sure 4 kids would have been on Kiko's side. Like, literally, Michael, do not see the door. Like, it's literally about to go off its hinges. It is. Stella also mentions that she has invited some of the H&B boys to come over. I think that means heroics and bravery. That makes sense. I was trying to figure it out. I did not come up with the right things. Yeah, not even close. I guess I was guessing before. Yikes. So I guess we've got more of a precursor as to why the boys would need to come to Bloom's house.
This is a really big decision.
To help you make it, I invited some of the H&B boys over to your house.
The hero guys are coming to my house? When?
Pretty soon, so let's get going.
Otherwise, they were only coming to Bloom's house to help out with the monster that had just got there. And then, yes, Mike is freaking out about Kiko. Like, I just don't get it. Like, you can't really just trust. Like, I don't know. This time, Mike and Vanessa are reacting with a lot of voice.
That thing is repulsive! And angry, too!
They're like, that thing is repulsive and angry, too. And they're just freaking out. And in the other dub, they weren't really saying anything. They were just kind of frozen with fear. I understand both. I think both are good and valid. I don't think one's better than the other. I think, me in the moment, if something like that were to happen, I'd probably be frozen in fear too. I don't know. I can't imagine like an ogre breaking into my house. So Stella's about to transform. We already know. And yeah, she goes, turn around, sunshine. Because Nut was tracking her, got the piece of pants, sniffed her this whole time, and she goes, sun power! With a ring. she transforms.
Turn around, sunshine. I guess someone didn't learn their lesson. Sun power!
And again, there's a whole custom theme. So for Stella's first transformation, not only was the last shot mirrored vertically, but the one shot where Stella's torso is transformed, you know, you can see her top and her shorts transforming and her hair behind her back. There was some censorship here. In the original, you could see a little bit of her boob, and in the 4Kids, they literally just Control-Alt-Delete. They erased that. They just pretended that that was still part of her torso. Yeah, they just completely changed that. But again, listen to what I just said. Sun power.
Sun power!
Sun power. Fairy of the sun and the moon. Sun power. What about the moon power? What about the moon power? Sun power. Yeah, it's crazy. That's interesting. Anyway, and then she's like, we gotta split it up. Bloom's like, how? She says, just do something. I thought that was hilarious. Like, that's literally what I would be like. Like, I don't know, just do something. Like, it's so real.
Bloom, I'll handle the 2 gross outs. You take care of the ghouls. But how? Just do something.
And then Bloom literally doesn't know what to do. She's like, nice little poochies, roll over. She takes the ghouls and they go outside, and Stella's dealing with Nut and the troll. But then Stella blasts Nut out. He breaks through their back window and lands on all the ghouls. That's how they die.
Nice little poochies. Roll over. Good one, Stella. Oh.
Bloom's like, nice one, Stella. And then the H&B boys come over.
Friend's the pretty one in the blue pants.
Another censorship catch is when Riven throws his little rope or lasso or grapple at the blue troll. In the original, it wraps around the troll's neck. But in 4Kids, it wraps around the troll's shoulders, and it doesn't look as violent. It looks like it kind of just, you know, wraps all around him. In the original, it looks like it kind of strangles him. So I can see why they kind of censored that one. And again, the boy with brown hair is like, one summer at a swashbuckler camp does not mean you can go solo on a troll. And I was like, what does that even mean, swashbuckling? Engaging in daring and romantic adventures with bravado or flamboyance. Don't know what either of those terms mean. Definitions. Bravado, bold manner to impress/intimidate. Flamboyance, tendency to attract because of exuberance, confidence, stylishness. Right now, I kind of know what flamboyance is a little more. I guess back then I didn't. But yeah, because I think Riven was like, I got this. He didn't fully get it. So again, the whole weird scene where Riven was a little misogynistic and just the weird way he talked to Bloom and Stella, it was like, ugh, girls. He this time is just like, stay here. This won't take long. Just seems like a normal way that I would imagine anyone would talk to an Earthling at that time.
Stay here. This won't take long. Girls.
And then basically they all attack all of them, and then Stella says, you're the one who's gonna back off, Ogre, or I'm gonna put my Stinkus Remove a spell on you, and you're gonna end up smelling like you just took a bath. And that is what kind of scares him, along with the fact that he's basically cornered and overpowered and outnumbered. Yeah.
You're the one who's gonna back off, Ogre, or I'm gonna put my Stinkus Remove a spell on you, and you're gonna end up smelling like you just took a bath.
Not only that, but the specialists capture the troll, the blue troll. So they take him back, and the blue troll, he's gone. He's gone. So they take the blue troll, the specialists, or the H&B boys. Now, Nut escapes. He just teleports away, and the ghouls have passed away. A funny line, the blonde-haired boy, he says, I hope your friend's the pretty one with the blue pants. the blue pants, the blue pants, the jeans, the denim, the blue pants. Now, I'm being ridiculous, but that kind of made me laugh out loud. The blue pants. The blue pants. I literally cannot. Then, after all this, we resolve. It's, I think, the next day or a little bit later. And Stella says what all kids, late teenagers, early teenagers, high schoolers would say. Hey, Bloom's dad.
Hey, Bloom's dad.
Not Mr. Peters, Bloom's 4 kids' last name. It's just like no one, you want your kids to say that, but I feel like a majority of children talk to other friends' parents like, hey, Bloom's dad, hey, Joe Mama's mama, like, hey, Joe's mama. Like, they don't say, hey, Mr. Peters. Like, that's just what you say. Like, I don't know. It's like a kid thing, you know? It feels so right. It feels so comfortable to hear those words. You know, hey, Bloom's dad. It's so real. It's this funny line. So he's like, so how are we going to get to Magics? And I think during what was previously weird, where they kind of built up to a sorrow crying goodbye, went back against the grain, was like, I'm just going to go with you anyway, and then left again. This time, they added in some normal dialogue. And so Bloom's dad was like, I'm going to clean this up the traditional way. And they just talked about normal stuff, about how they're going to get there. And so he's like, so Stella, how are we going to get there? Broomstick? Do they make a broomstick for 4? And then Bloom is like, Dad, broomsticks are for witches.
Do they make a broomstick for 4?
Dad, broomsticks are for witches.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that effing makes me laugh out loud. Dad, broomsticks are for witches. Are you out of your gourd? That you would even ask such a question. Dad, broomsticks are for witches. And then he says, is it fairy dust? And then Bloom says, are we going to use the express portal, the Toontown warp? But then she says, regular humans can't go in it. But you know what? My scepter can handle a little trans-dimensional puddle jump like this. And so, that's the thing. That's what they write for this part of the 4 Kids Club. So, Stella takes her scepter, and they go there. And then she takes off her ring, and she says again, sun power! And she turns it into a scepter. And then we hear the beautiful song, feels like magic. Her parents are like freaking out. Bloom's like, pretty cool, right? Stella says, with a capital C. I've used that in some of my Winx edits, like Roxy going to Clownix College with a capital C. Like, I just can't.
Wow, would you look at this place?
Pretty cool, right?
With a capital C.
So I guess that's pretty much it. Again, this episode aired June 19th, 2004, and it had a runtime of about 17 minutes, 40 seconds. Now, that is without the intro and outro. Add on those, it's probably about like a good 18 and a half minutes. And they also kept the fairy going across the screen. We love it. We love it so much. I think that with 4 kids, you know, they definitely went on their own agenda a little bit, trimmed out what they felt was necessary. They have more regulations and rules. And again, Fox, the network that was airing it, is more responsible for some of the cuts, regulations, censorships than the people behind the scenes, than whatever else was on the production. It's not like there was someone who just chose to change it for creative sake. I mean, that seems like a lot of work than to just redub a show and put it online. Like, Fox has said that they really wanted this. So that is what that's all about. I think that this episode was pretty good. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will look forward to chatting with you guys in the next episode. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. And that was It Feels Like Magic. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Magic Winxology. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment, leave a review, check out my social media, follow the podcast on Instagram. You can stay up to date on where we are on the podcast, check out the live Winx wall, check my highlights for a log of all the transformations. You can stream the podcast on YouTube as well as all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon Music, everywhere. I will see you guys next week with another new episode of Magic Winxology, where we will dissect the first part of the first Nick special, Winx Club Fate of Bloom. Bye guys.